This is a video about a painting that I made that follows in the footsteps of Max Ernst. Hello y'all! The footsteps of Max Ernst are large and fascinating. This painting by him that I showed you in the last but one video about his Decalcomania technique somehow crossed my mind over and over again, and I decided to try watercolor with this technique. It is not about copying the painting, but following with one of his techniques and then finding out what I see hiding in the texture. I will show you the making of it with a lot of close-ups. I selected some of my favorite watercolor colors, of which I will use only a few, and they will be listed in the info box below this video as usual. This is the Duralar or OHP foil sheet that I will be making the effects with. You don't have to use the transparent brand, but it is nice to see better what you're doing while you're doing it. This is a color called Perylene Maroon, which is a very beautiful dark red, brownish red. That VanDyck brown unfortunately dried out on me, so I can't use it. And for a brown, I'm using the raw Sienna. Then a hooker's green, which is a granulating color. And a sap green. I'm diluting with water the four of those colors. And for painting, you don't have to use any fancy watercolor brushes or so. You can use just an ordinary school brush which holds a lot of water. The paper you see there is a Fabriano Bristol paper. It's not a watercolor paper. And I have put 2 layers of a primer on it, a gesso. You can also use an acrylic binder, but don't use a watercolor primer, because that would just make nice watercolor, but it wouldn't add to the Decalcomania technique. It has to be repellent a little bit of the paint. You can actually use most papers. They have to be a little bit sturdy, like this one is 200 GSM. And here you can see my wavy technique. Like I'm going down, going back again, rubbing it in, going back again. And sometimes it flips over by accident, and that doesn't matter. You can always change it, go back until you finish the bottom. And here I'm just adding the paint that was left on the transparent sheet to the sides. So far I like it, but it's very transparent and very bright. And so I really want to add more darker colors. I don't want to waste any plastic, so I'm using that same transparent sheet over and over again. And you can wipe the paint off with a baby wipe. That's very easy. So next is the sap green. I didn't use as much water. You can reduce the transparency a little bit by not using so much water. But this is turning out to be quite light anyway. And I'm taking a larger brush here. That small brush was just going too slow. And I'm sort of making a square shape here. And pushing the paint around again. Adding a little more, you can do that always. And I'll give you a close-up of the wavy technique again. And sometimes you get the typical Decalcomania, and sometimes you just get wavy patterns, which is very beautiful because it looks like opening flowers or opening something. And also putting the rest of the paint on it again. And the darkest spots here I dab off with a tissue, which gives a nice effect too. And I'm drying all that before I'm putting on the next layer, because I want to keep those nice shapes. And cleaning that same sheet again. Next color is a darker colored Hocus green. It's quite a granulating color, but the granulating works only on watercolor paper, so this is not what it's about. I just like that tone of green. I'm trying to make like a tree shape or something like that in front of the lighter green. I'm pushing it around, but only upwards and downwards, not so much to the side. And doing that same thing again. It's nice that you can work 2 slim trees both at a time. But don't get me wrong, the transparency is necessary for the Decalcomania technique. But you have to play and try a little with the amount of water you add, so that it doesn't get too bright. And it shouldn't be too dark. Then you won't see the Decalcomania anymore. So obviously I'm sort of repeating that second tree, if it is a tree. It somehow doesn't work so well on this side. Maybe there's just less gesso in that part of the paper. And you can go over it if you don't like it, like in this case, again and again. You will erase the patterns that you had before and just make new ones. This is the fascinating technique that I love so much. Very satisfying. And here I'm going a little sideways with a transparent sheet. From where you start, that is on the left side, that will be the top of the pattern or the texture. So you always have to start from the top or from wherever your top is. Now to the maroon, which is really a red. And because it's a red, I want to build something like flowers. You see that little spot here where the Decalcomania in green didn't work at all? I want to cover this with a flower. I'm putting on a little too much and a little too much water too. So that is not good. And I'm mixing in some more of that paint and use less water. And with a smaller brush, I'm putting on as little as possible and still trying to make it up a flower-like shape. And I'm pushing quite carefully, getting you a little closer here. Just carefully pushing it around just a little bit. It's very small and very detailed. I will add some more flowers a little later. But I still want to make the green darker here. The green darker here. I think I added paint as well to that water. So you can see right away this is probably going to be much better. And this is great because that mixture is obviously perfect for that wave pattern. And I'm like, oh my god, this is great. It looks like a bloom too, or something. And now we're talking. I love that. I'm still working on the lowest side here. Wonderful, isn't it? I'm so vain again. No, really, I want to thank you, Max Ernst. Max Ernst, actually, as we say in German. And thank you again, Gerda Lipsky, who explained this technique to me. Now, red roses again. You can see again that this mixture is ideal. You just need to try out a while before you get the perfect mixture there. So I'm covering the blooms there with new blooms. And sorry, you can't really see it, but here I'm also going to the side again, to the left side this time, and then down. So that's how you do a turning bloom. Do you say bloom or blossoms anyway? I mixed some of the VanDyck brown into the raw sienna, and out came this darker brown. Maybe again too transparent, but we'll see. And what you can hear in the back is a happy dog chewing on a not so happy bone. So I'm working on two tree-like shapes again, this time in a tree color. Or maybe it is a bone, some bones. You see that spot on the right again? Another spot that didn't work. I really don't know why. So I'm working in the corners. Oh, that's working so well. I did not wipe off the transparent sheet this time, and it's funny, so I can just put it where I think, just do a mock-up of where I want the flowers to go. So more of the red flowers. Oh, what a nice, fat, juicy red flower. I think it's a fruit, not a flower. This is getting better by the minute. And my dog is going more excited. I'm sorry. Susie, have a little respect for the arts. No, she doesn't. The flower covered the other flower. That's not so great. So I'm very carefully trying to take something off. Naja, it's just one flower on the next flower. So beautiful. And the left side is too bright, too light still, so I'm adding more brown texture there. And at the same time trying to get rid of that ugly spot there. And it doesn't really work, but you know, you just have to live with what the paint gives you and make the best of it. And the paint gives me a lot today. Here I'm adding a tissue texture for a change. And I want to mirror the left side a little bit by adding that dark brown to the right side. Look at that. Agnolio tree. Beautiful. You see, I'm getting more careful with the movement. And I'm getting more control over the movement. Just by practicing. And there are some blank spots in the lower part. which I want to fill with a little red bloom again. So I'm getting closer and very, very careful not to destroy the other colors next to it. And still 2 more mini blooms. And there's an area in the light green that I don't like at all, so I'm adding some more here. Still too much water. Oh, whatever. I'll just leave it like that. And I'm finished for today, and the next thing is the working out phase with my pencils. And I'm going to work out some of those wavy structures, some of the typical Decalcomania structures, and I'm going to find things in there that I'm going to work out. And also I have a very special plan for the background, for the sky, so to speak. So tune in the next time and you'll see how I go on here. See you then. Bye.